Wake up, RIpCity, because your Portland Trail Blazers are 3-0 against the Golden State Warriors. Their latest win, 136-131 against Golden State. The Blazers improved to 10-16 on the season. This is the Wake Up RIpCity podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Alex Moore. Alongside me, it's Jay Gliss. Today on the show, we'll obviously recap that fun Blazers-Warriors game. Then we'll talk a little bit about kind of how we're seeing the team grow through this season and kind of what's happening with Deni, with Shaedon, with Jerami, especially kind of in context of that Warriors game. We'll also touch on the All-Star race, as All-Star voting is going to be starting soon, and we'll see what the chances of Deni making that All-Star team are. So, a lot to get to on the show today. We have a lot to talk about, especially about that Blazers-Warriors game. Gliss, how are you feeling after that game, and kind of how are you feeling overall about this Blazers team?
That was a fun one. You know, I know that tanking is a strategy, but is there a way to maneuver so we only play the Warriors in the playoffs? Because I feel like it's a pretty good matchup for us. That was a fun game, a good win. I was feeling a little skeptical just because of how Steph was playing. It felt like one of the also, what is it? The Blazers seem to be one of those teams that he always has great games against.
Let's not even talk about it, man.
I mean, it's like
revisit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Some of the playoff games, it's like Kobe was another guy who always seemed to love playing in Portland. Yeah. But yeah, he was impressive, and I was skeptical. I was like, this is one of those, superstar takes over, and we'll see if they can withstand it. But they did, and they got the win, so that's nothing to complain about there.
And I think that was I saw a lot of people saying that was the only time in NBA history, but there was one other instance that I at least know of. There's two instances where a player has hit 12 threes in a game and lost, Gliss. So one of them was Steph against the Blazers on Sunday night. Can you think of the other one?
I don't know. Is it a Blazer?
It's guessable. It is a Blazer.
Is it Dame?
It's Dame.
Yeah.
Game 5 against the Nuggets on the road, when he's hitting incredible shot after incredible shot to keep them in double OT loss. The famous CJ steps out of bounds. Yeah. Yeah. So
that one hurts because that was, I think, it's probably underrated. That was one of the greatest single performances in a playoff game, I think, in NBA history.
It's the greatest single performance I've ever seen. Just watching,
the level of difficulty on some of those shots. Man, that's crazy to think about because it seems like so long ago. But yeah,
and I know it's up there. They have the game score stat, and that's like one of the highest game scores I think in playoff history and might be NBA history. I think Dame scored 55 in that game on hit 12 threes and on the road single-handedly, and it was the pure shots he was hitting. But let's we don't have to think about painful memories right now. We have happy things to talk about, like a Blazers win on Sunday. Yeah, I mean, I think when we look at our expectations at the beginning of the season and just what we have and how they've grown and what we expect out of this team, this is kind of the game that we were hoping to see more of, right? Like, we know that this Blazers team was going to have its struggles, but we also expected the team to have players that were going to step up and have performances like this. And, of course, you get 35 from Shaedon Sharpe. You get 35 from Jerami Grant. And Deni just does his thing. Deni just puts up his stat line, which, I'm not going to even sleep on it because it's an incredible stat line, 26, 8, and 7. But that's just what we've come to expect from Deni this season. And the Blazers come out with the victory and survive an absolute onslaught from Steph Curry and, get a big win at home, a much needed win at home after some painful losses.
Yeah, and just getting those vibes, the feel-good vibes back, because it's definitely been a tough couple of weeks. Things have kind of been trending in the wrong direction, even though they've remained competitive most of the time. So we were forecasting this last week that, getting some home games, getting some games against teams that aren't, the Thunder and the Houston Rockets and the Spurs and some of those top, teams that are playing really, really good basketball. It seems like it's been one night after the next. So yeah, this stretch of the schedule is a little more promising, and it's good to see them see them get a win at home against a good basketball team.
Absolutely. And Shaedon has that incredible third quarter, and the Blazers absolutely needed it to stay alive in this game. He's basically going toe to toe with Steph Curry. Shaedon hitting some really nice looking shots, getting into his 3-point shot as well, and hitting a lot of those to keep the Blazers afloat, despite, like I said, that onslaught from Steph. And I think we both agree on this. This is the Shaedon Sharpe that makes us so excited to watch him play basketball. It's that mixture of the beautiful looking jumper, the slashing, the attacking the rim, and he just becomes a player that's so difficult for opposing defenses to deal with. And when we see him do that, also he added 4 steals, which is where I think he can really have a positive effect on the defensive side of the ball. And it's just like, I love seeing this. At the same time, it's almost a little frustrating because I'm like, this is why we're so high on you,
we
man.
We want this
like,
every night.
This is why we're so high on you, man. Like, this is what we love seeing. I mean, this guy could be such a unstoppable force in the NBA if he continues at this level. It's just as unfortunate that, sometimes it seems like he's taking nights off. He's taking plays off on the defensive side of the ball. Sometimes he's getting beat on backdoor cuts, which is just inexcusable. And so, but we're waking up on the right side of the bed still. Let's stay positive. Amazing game from Shaedon. Super exciting to see him get in a flow state like that.
Yeah, definitely. And just his aggressiveness. And I think that the aggressiveness and just the focus that he was playing with in that third quarter, like you said, some of those shots were absolutely crucial, the way that Steph was rolling in that third quarter. And, I mean, he was kind of single-handedly pulling all the momentum towards the Warriors, and Shaedon, was answering the call, so that was huge. And I think that kind of brings me to what my wake up on the right side of the bed is, which is just the mental bounce back, because we talked about last week just how terrible that loss was at the end of that road trip, and I mean, they looked uninterested, they looked unfocused, and it was pretty much the opposite on Sunday night. I mean, you saw Jerami Grant getting after it, you saw Shaedon getting after it, and they just played with a different sense of urgency. And, there's going to be nights where you just don't have it in the NBA. I think that's a normal thing in any sport, really. I mean, it's like, you're going to have mental lapses and stuff like that. But that loss they had last week was pretty embarrassing. And to kind of show some resilience and show the kind of mental focus that they had on Sunday to go out and compete, that was promising to see that kind of flip the other way after, a pretty brutal loss.
Absolutely. And, like I was saying, I think my wake up on the right side of the bed is Shaedon and Jerami both having tremendous games on the offensive side of the ball. I guess my question to you, Gliss, is because I know you were texting me during the Pelicans game. We did the pod after the Pelicans game. You were pretty upset at the effort. So, did you see more positive? Like, were you happier with the effort on both sides of the ball in the game against Golden State?
Yeah, like I said, there was just a different level of focus. You could see the intent behind the way they were playing, where it felt like that was lacking. And, I said it last week, I think that's probably, most people would agree that as a sports fan, when you're emotionally invested in a team, that's the most disappointing thing, is when you just feel like there's just not the effort or the mental focus of actually putting the effort into competing. That's insanely frustrating. So to see them come out and play the way they did against Golden State, it was, like I said, it was promising and it was fun to watch. It was not only was it a great win, it was a great basketball game. It was a fun game to watch. And yeah, like I said, hopefully they can keep some of the good vibes, take some momentum and maybe turn things around a little bit. It'd be nice to see them kind of go on a little bit of a run here. They don't got to win every single game, but if they could kind of flip the switch and start racking up some wins here and there, then that's going to serve them well later in the season when things get tighter.
And of course, the Blazers have their upcoming 2 games against the Sacramento Kings, a home and home. The first game upcoming on Thursday, and then they go to Sacramento on Saturday. So you look at those 2 games as both winnable. Mm-hmm. Of course, in the NBA, it's tough to beat a team on any given night. There's talent in this league, but the Sacramento is definitely a beatable team. But it becomes kind of tough to win both of those games. To beat a team twice in a row is difficult, but you would expect that the Blazers should be able to do that. Oh God, what am I saying? I hope I don't jinx it, Gliss. But you would expect that they should, give themselves a chance to win both of those games. But like I said, oh man, we'll see. But as you're absolutely right, the schedule is easing up, and the Blazers have very winnable games. And even after those Sacramento games, they have games at home now against some tough opponents, but they are games at home. And like we've been talking about all year, guys will probably start to get healthy and start to come back soon as well. So yeah, it's definitely a good time. Yeah. I hope so too. Talk to me about Jerami Grant, Gliss. What were your thoughts on that fourth quarter from Jerami, just keeping the Blazers afloat, kind of like Shaedon did in the third? It turned to Jerami's turn in the fourth.
Yeah, they were both balling, and similar to Shaedon in that third quarter. I mean, it seemed like whenever they needed a basket, he was just feeling it in that fourth quarter, and that's something that I think is important to think about moving forward. Is we know what Deni is going to do every night. I think he's established that. Like you said, we expect that now. So to see some of the other guys that are going to be heavily relied upon for offense in particular, it was good to see 2 guys that can do that, have such good games and in important moments when they needed a shot. He was huge in that fourth quarter. He made some really, really incredible shots. And I think that's an important thing to watch for as the season progresses, is how some of these other guys around Deni that we know can perform at a high level offensively, how efficient they are being, especially in close games. Because, I mean, the Blazers have played so many close games. I don't know that that's going to change. I think they are going to be in a lot of close, they've been competitive, and sometimes they're coming from behind. Sometimes they're, clinging to a lead, but it's going to be important to have guys that can make shots and not rely, not put everything on 1 or 2 guys. Like, you really got to have, in today's NBA, you really have to have some guys that have the ability to step up and make shots.
100%. And when Jerami plays like he played against the Warriors, I'm like, this is why the Blazers signed him to that big contract. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of the fan reaction was, oh man, like, this is not worth it. Mm-hmm. I think we even talked about it at the beginning of the season that a Jerami Grant mid-range jumper is going to be like in our nightmares this year. Yeah. But he's really strayed away from that shot this season, which has been super exciting to see him as he's grown in his shot selection. It's really only been those catch and shoot threes. Love the no dip 3. It's just become such an incredible shot. It's amazing. Like, at first when he started doing it, I was like, what is this? I don't know if this is worth it. But now I'm like, man, the way he's able to release that shot on the no dip is incredible, and such an advantage when you have defenders closing out on you tight, especially in those corners. And just seeing his growth in the shot selection, like I was saying, has been fantastic to watch, because he's playing more like the player that Blazer fans kind of expected when he first joined the team. And I love when he gets aggressive and attacks the rim, because oftentimes, sometimes it just feels like the Blazers offense can get a little stale at times. And of course, we were worried about their offense this season, especially kind of with the lack of shooting. Like, I think they're the worst 3-point shooting team in the league. Maybe that's improved since the Warriors game, but I'm not sure if it has. And so to see him kind of be able to attack and then also, affect the game with his shot has been super exciting to watch, and has been a necessary component for the success this season, and will continue to be a necessary component as the Blazers, continue on this year. So really exciting for that. I mean, just it's just a fun game. It just felt good to get those vibes back. Like, I just felt we were like so down after the Pelicans game, man. It was like, oh man, I'll never feel happy again. But of course, they always bring you back. The Blazers always do that. So that was exciting. Did you see this? I saw this clip on the internet of Sidi Cissoko walking back to the bench, and Steph Curry runs into him.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
What was that about? That was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't know. That was, there was a little bit of a scuffle. They showed it on the telecast right after. I'm not really sure. I guess gamesmanship. I don't know what that was about, but I mean, shout out to Sidi, because man, he was playing too. Like, he's in a tough spot. We've talked about, like, he probably was not a guy that we would have expected to be playing heavy minutes, but shout out to him for stepping up. I mean, he's really kind of like tried to do the best he can in that role, and he's been playing pretty well the last couple games, like, in that role. I mean, I don't know how consistently he can do that for 82 games, but given the position he's in where they really need him, he's been playing pretty well, so I do want to give him some love.
I mean, there's no doubt in my mind, when the Blazers are at full health, Sidi Cissoko is a bench player on this team, and Chris Murray is not.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, Sidi has improved his shot. He attacks the rim. He doesn't make mistakes very often, which is like something that's exciting to see. At first, I really didn't trust him with the ball at any point. Like, I would get scared. Like, it's not even just like it's not even a stats related thing. It was just like me watching the game. I'd be uncomfortable if he had the ball. But now that kind of has gone away, and he's proven himself to be an NBA player to me. And he's 21 years old, Gliss.
Yeah.
He's so young. Chris Murray's 24. Like, how Sidi is 3 years younger. He absolutely deserves a bench spot on this team. I am so impressed by the way he's playing. Incredible by that guy. Incredible. And like you said, put in a very difficult position, and he came out and he played his ass off, and he's been awesome. He will be playing more for this team in a bench spot, even when at full health. I absolutely see it. And this team has a lot of depth, so maybe there won't be a spot for him, but he absolutely is deserving of it.
Yeah, you hit it on the head. And I will say, I do think Chris Murray he has a lot of attributes that are beneficial to have him on the court. Like, he does a lot of little things. Like, he's kind of one of those guys that does a lot of little things that are helpful. But with that said, I totally 100% agree with what you just said. I think if you were to take this sample of games since, Drew Holiday and Matisse Thybulle and Blake Wesley and some of the other injuries that they've had in between that time, he's absolutely the guy that I think has stood out as someone who has kind of earned their way into minutes, and he's been showing up, and he's been helping them be competitive as they possibly can be, given the roster that they have at this moment, and it's good to see him contribute in a win for sure.
Absolutely, and let's move on. Let's talk about Deni a little bit, because like I said in the beginning, and you touched on this as well. Seeing him put up those numbers, it was nice to see him get kind of that offensive boost, offensive help, both from Jerami and Shaedon. Nice to see him, be able to give the ball off and not have to, be the main focus of the offense, and just. It's exciting for him to be in a position like he was in the Warriors game. He can kind of just do his thing, and then he can get into his spots. You see him, obviously get some and ones, and was able to attack the rim very effectively. But it wasn't necessary for him to have like that incredibly high usage rate, because he had the help, in the third and fourth quarter, obviously. and throughout the game. I think I also want to ask you about Deni's All-Star status, but talk to me a little bit more about Deni's performance in this game and kind of how you felt the help from the Blazers was changing how he played.
Yeah, I think we touched on this last week too, is just the fact that like it almost feels like offensively for Deni right now, like he'll have some games where he kind of, explodes for, he gets hot and goes off for, 10 to 15 points in a short amount of time. But more so, it feels like his scoring has become more and more subtle. Like it's just kind of like a quiet, like I'm going to hit 25. And, he does all these other things on the court that are so important to their success. To see we can almost kind of put him down for 25 points a game. So to see those other guys step up again, I think that's going to be super important. Like if they want to get to where they're going and really have a chance to compete, for the play-in and have a chance at the playoffs, they're going to need Shaedon Sharpe. They're going to need Jerami Grant. They're going to need these guys to step up offensively. I mean, the NBA is a long season, and kind of how we were talking about Shaedon, it's frustrating sometimes because it's almost like he's so like cool, calm, and collected that at times it almost feels like he's uninterested, just because he's too cool. Yeah, he's like too emotionally hard to read. But then you see games like this where like in that third quarter where he just seems like more aggressive. You see him like low in that defensive stance. You see him attacking the basket. And man, if we can get more of that Shaedon, I think it'll put so much pressure on defenses. Again, having a guy like Jerami Grant who, as you pointed out, he's not settling for, as many mid-range jump shots. He's attacking the basket more. He's getting into the paint. And he's, I can't remember what the number was. I know they were talking about it last week, but that right corner three, he's like deadly. I think he's top in the league from that right corner three position. And then one thing I also want to say about Shaedon too, like with him being aggressive, I will say like I've started to notice it the last couple weeks in particular. It seems like he's also, he's obviously not Deni in terms of his passing ability and stuff like that. But I am seeing that it seems like he's a more willing passer this year than he has been in the past. It seems like his basketball IQ has elevated a little bit. Like he's just getting a better feel for, and I don't know if it's just playing with this group for a while and feeling more comfortable with the guys that he's on the court with. But that can be huge for Deni as well, because, if all those guys are meshing and they have that chemistry where they can all play off of each other and they're all willing passers, that's going to be a big thing, because we know what Deni can do at this point. And I think, he can do a lot. So if we can see, like, again, we don't need to see Shaedon score 35 points a night. But if we can see some more consistency in his ability to hit shots, and the same goes for Jerami Grant, that's going to be huge. And then it even more so will give them a boost when they get guys like Drew Holiday back, because we know how solid he is with his playmaking ability and his ability to kind of have, be timely with his offense and all that stuff. So, yeah, the prospects are a little better when you have three guys that can, put up 30 points. So I think that could be a big difference. And we've talked about also Deni's, the assists that he doesn't get because of their shooting. If we can see those guys elevate their offensive game, then I think we're also going to see Deni get even better in terms of his playmaking.
Yeah, and you bring up some great points, Gliss, and I think overall, if we are looking at this stretch of Blazers basketball in the most positive way possible, which we love to do here on the Wake Up RIpCity podcast, then you have to hope that this guardless basketball that the Blazers are playing right now, almost sounds like godless, this guardless basketball that they're playing will be huge for the growth of both Deni and Shaedon because they've had to bring the ball up the court. They've had to create offense. NBA defenses know that Shaedon is not a strong ball handler. Mm-hmm. I know that Shaedon is not a strong ball handler just from watching. You can tell. I mean, he's just not the most confident with the ball. He often creates live ball turnovers, which are so frustrating to watch. But you would hope that this stretch would have improved his confidence on that side of the ball, and that will be good for the Blazers in the long term. And which is what is also good will be his ability to create shots for other people. He is so strong and aggressive when he attacks the paint that NBA defenses are collapsing on him. That means there's open shooters. That means Donovan Clingan is open in the dunker spot. That creates opportunities for other Blazers. And if Shaedon is strengthening that part of his game to pass the ball when he's attacking the rim so aggressively, and Deni has obviously had that huge leap in his ability to create for other players, if both of those guys are, getting better at creating for other Blazers on the court, that is a good thing ultimately for the Blazers in the long term. So, yeah, like I said, if you're waking up on the right side of the bed about this Blazers season, you see that they're 10-16. You're a little disappointed that they're outside of the play-in right now. Well, the hope would be the schedule gets easier, and 2, we've seen a lot of growth from these guys, especially Deni and Shaedon, on their ability to create for other players, and hopefully that will lead to positives in the end. I know that seeing Jerami hit a bunch of those shots, I was like, who's passing him the ball in those shots? It was Shaedon. Mm-hmm. A lot of times. It was Deni too. So, I mean, it's exciting to see that kind of step up and that growth from the Blazers on that side. All right, Gliss, anything else you want to add before we hop off here?
No, I did want to emphasize your point on growth, though. I think that's kind of the key word here because, the NBA, it's such a long season. You don't necessarily need them to be playing their best basketball at this moment, but if we start to see these kind of trends where, things are looking more positive, and knowing that they have 4 guys that were supposed to be a major part of this team, literally that haven't even, been playing for the last month. Those things give optimism, and obviously we're kind of unapologetic about, being more optimistic about our Trailblazers. But I think those are real, tangible things. You want to see the roster growing together and working towards later in the season where you can be playing your best basketball.
Agreed completely, and we are unapologetic about our positivity here. The world needs more of it, Gliss. We need more of it. I'm just like, every time I hop into a game thread, whether I'm watching football on a Sunday or basketball on any given day,
I know.
Literally, like, someone misses a shot, and the first comment is like, oh, let's look at the draft lottery this year. I'm just like, damn, bro. Damn, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. So we're going to keep staying positive. We love talking Blazers basketball, and it's fun, man. It's fun. This is a fun team to watch. It's exciting. Yeah, there's tough losses that make me question my whole fanhood of basketball, but you just hop up the next day and you get back at it and you talk a little Blazers basketball here on Wake Up RIpCity, and you feel better hearing the positives from Gliss, and I come up with positives as well, and it just makes everyone feel better. So we're glad to do it. Please subscribe to us on YouTube. We're so happy with the growth we've seen on YouTube and the views and the comments, and we love talking to people and having discussions with people, and I think that's kind of the most fun part about this, Gliss, is just the conversations that we're having with Blazers fans, about any given subject. So give us a comment, we'll respond. We love that, and it's super exciting to see. But yeah, please give us a subscribe on YouTube. That's kind of the main spot that we're at. Of course, you can listen to Wake Up RIpCity as well on Spotify. So that is it for today. We will see you next time. Maybe we'll be back this week with another episode, Gliss, if the Blazers, depending on how the Blazers Kings go and depending on our schedules. But at the very least, we will also be back next week to talk more Blazers basketball. This is Wake Up RIpCity. See you next time.